We are consistently asked about buying versus leasing all the time. And the biggest thing you have to consider is why you get in the car. How long do you want the car? How long do you want to take it over? How many miles a year are you doing? All these factors play an effect in whether you should buy or you lease the car. People, we get almost stuck in our ways. So for example, if I've leased my last 5 cars, I'm probably going to lease my next 5 cars. Maybe I financed my last 5 cars in a certain way. You might find me financing my next 5 cars. When we open up the options and we really dive into the possibilities, we can find new ways to make work what's best to work for us. So let's get straight into it. So when we talk about buy versus leasing, I'm not talking about physically paying for a car. Right now in the UK, physically buying the car outright is one of the most least popular ways to acquire or lease or get a new car, whatever it be. The most popular ways is to either finance or lease the car. A lot of people interpret it that finance is buying a car, but the finance company still holds the right to that car. They still have title to that car. That means that if you don't make the payments, it goes straight back to the finance company. They own that car technically. So when we talk about the word buying, we need to understand that a little bit more. If I pay outright for the car, I buy the car, it's mine forever. And this is why I talk about terms and how long you want the car for. And this is exactly what I'm going to talk about right now. If you want a car for on average in the UK right now, 2 to 3 years, right? Keep your money. Doesn't matter how much money you've got. Keep the money in your bank. It's better to lease or finance it depending on your situation. So if we delve into the world of financing a car, well, the 2 most popular ways which come to mind are number 1, hire purchase. What's a hire purchase? You take the car from 2 to 5 years. A lot of people take 5 years. It's a straightforward loan. It's tied to the car. There's no mileage limit. You pay an interest on the finance you lend through an APR or a flat rate. You lend the balance over a certain amount of time. After that time, the car's yours. There's no balloon payment at the end of it. There's nothing at the end of it. There might be an administration fee, but there's no mega balloon payment. It's a straightforward loan. So we think to ourselves, that sounds amazing. I can do unlimited mileage. I can finance a car for a payment that works for me. The problem is with hire purchase is that we live in a world where we want more for our money. And what do I mean by that? If I finance a car that's £10,000-20,000, what's going to fit my monthly payment is probably going to be less in comparison to other finance products in the market. Let me go a little bit deeper on that. Other finance products in the market, which I'm about to delve into, such as PCP options, allow us to get more for our money depending on how we structure them in terms of a monthly payment. So if you think of, I've got a budgeted monthly payment of £300 per month. If I take a hire purchase, the car, the asset that I'm going to get is going to be a lot less in terms of the car it is, maybe the age, maybe the mileage on it in terms of how many miles the car's done, than what I can get through other products out there. If you don't care about the age of it and you just want a straightforward car that you're going to own for 7 to 8 years and you're going to keep it for a long time, some great products. That's more suited to people on that market who want the car for a very, very long time. Maybe you want to run it into the ground, sell it at the end, whatever you want to do. Let's move on to the next finance product, PCP, personal contract purchase. PCP works on having a balloon payment at the end of it. We can call it a residual value. We can call it a balloon payment. The bottom line is there's a payment sat at the end of the agreement. If I go and take a PCP agreement, what I'm going to have to do is set what's called an annual mileage, right? And you think, well, I want to drive all the miles I want to do. Well, look, the average mileage is 10 to 12,000 miles a year. So let's just base it on 10,000. Don't take low mileage because you're attracted to a low monthly payment. Don't take a mileage of 5, 6, 7,000 miles a year when you're not going to do that. Select the right mileage. It's so important. So here's how it works. I take the agreement over 2 to 4 years. Now, most people taking a PCP agreement are going to take it over 4 years. Why are they going to take it over 4 years? Because we're attracted to the lowest monthly payment for the car that we can get. We spoke spoke previously about getting the best car for the money. So you take the car over 4 years in order to get the best car for your budgeted monthly payment. Now we're doing 10,000 miles a year in this example, all right? So what happens? I'm paying £300 a month. Now what's happened is we've took some of the balance and we've put it onto the end of the agreement, which creates a balloon, a residual value. Therefore, that allows us to get a better or bigger value car for that same monthly payment as the previous hire purchase example. That allows us to get a much better value, more desirable, better car for the money, call it whatever suits you individually, but the same budgeted monthly payment as previous. So we think, well, why would I not go for the hire? Why would I go for the PCP? Let's talk about what happens at the end of the PCP. The main three options that you have are this. Number one, you hand the car back to the finance company. Bearing in mind you took 10,000 miles a year, excess mileage charges apply, that's really important, but you hand the car back to the finance company. Option number two, you buy the car, you pay for the car, you pay the balloon, the car's yours. Option three, you swap the car, you part exchange the car in for another car. I think part exchange your car in for another car is very vague. You just ring somebody up, somebody collects it, and then you drop me off a new car off. If I put myself in a customer's position, I'm sat there thinking, well, I want a new car. I'll just part exchange it in. Let's go more detail. Now, in these last two examples, what I've not talked about up to now is deposits. Most people taking a PCP, we have had conversations, although we don't provide PCP at all, we understand it. And we've had people say, well, I can go and get this PCP deal. I can go and get this, and I can put no deposit down. Look, cool. What you got to remember at the end of it, this part exchange thinking, or we've heard people talking about getting out the agreement early, can leave you in a predicament if you don't do it correctly. Here's an example of that. I go and take a PCP over 4 years, and when I buy it, I get told, oh yeah, just part exchange it in after 2 to 3 years. You'll be fine, don't worry. And here's the problem. We have to look at the loan to value ratio, because if I don't put a minimal deposit in on this car, I'm not part exchanging that car in 2 to 3 years. It's not going to happen. The finance figure, called a settlement figure, is going to be higher than what the car's worth. And so the difference between the two is negative equity. Negative equity is the balance that you're going to have to pay to get out of that agreement. So we sit and we think, well, why would I take a PCP? Look, PCP has its positives. I'm not sitting here saying that PCP is negative. I want to provide you the full information to make you the informed decision. The things that you don't get told, the things that you need to know. And you can really pick which product or package out there is best for you. Now, then we talk about what type of car we're going for. If you're going for a brand new car and it's got a 3-year warranty and you're taking out a 4-year deal, that last year you're going to not be in a warranty. These are the things that you need to think about. So look, a PCP can be a great product if it works for you. On either of those first two, the hire purchase or the PCP agreement I talked about, you can put a deposit in. Deposits, they say 10%, 20%. I've seen people want to put zero in. It's great when you can put zero deposit in and you can pay the monthly payment that works for you. But what you have to do is plan your end game. When do you want out of that car? I've seen people take PCP agreements, put minimal deposit in, and they want to get out of it after a year. And they're thinking it's costing me 3, 4, 5 grand to get out of this. Now that balloon payment is generated on the annual mileage that you give at the start. So if I'm doing 10,000 miles a year, but I put 6,000, all I'm going to do is create a bigger negative equity figure. If you go into the full end of the agreement and you're not bothered about the warranty, maybe being out on that last year, if you're taking a new car, it might work for you. Make an informed decision on what you want it for, how long are you going to last for, and what's going to work for you. All right, that's the important thing here. What's going to work for you? Another thing to consider when taking out finance agreements on a new car is that you are responsible for the car in such as things as tax, MOT, warranty if it goes out of date. A lot of people like to change the car every 2 to 3 years. Some people 2 to 4 years. Finance agreements aren't going to give you as much flexibility to change within that 2 to 3 year period. Can it work? Yes, but it's important that you get the right deposits. If you're taking over a 4 to 5 year agreement and you want to change it in 2 to 3 years, it's going to be a little bit more difficult in order to do that. So most people think, well, look, I'll finance the car because I want to own the car. If you have finance and you're responsible for that, yes, you have the car, but the title still remains with the finance company. That's how you got to look at things. So you really have to break down what's the best option for you. So where does that leave us? Car leasing itself. What is car leasing? Why would you lease a car? What are the objections with leasing cars? Why would I not lease a car when I can finance it? Why would I finance it when I can lease it? When we car lease, it's simple. All right, this is the way I look at things. Me, I want a new car every 2 to 3 years, maybe 4 years. Tried financing. I've bought cars on every product. I've bought them in terms of finance. I've leased them. And what I can honestly say for me, in my circumstances, is that leasing fits for me. It works for my lifestyle. It works for how often I change a car from a desirable point of view, but most importantly, a cost element. The cars that I have had over the years, if I were to finance those, I would be in a less position in terms of outlay, in terms of the cost, in comparison to leasing them. How does car leasing work? Firstly, we pick a term. 2 years, 3 years, or 4 years being the most popular. So what do? I pick my mileage. Guys, get your annual mileage right. It's important to you. It's going to save you a lot of money in the long run. If you're doing 15,000 miles a year, if you're doing 20,000 miles, if you're doing 10,000, get your annual mileage right. Why? Because here's what happens. The annual mileage is an element which affects the monthly payment. So again, if your budget's, in this particular example, £300 a month, and you find a deal that works for you on 10,000 miles a year, if we change it to 15,000 miles a year, it's going to be more per month. Now, if I do 10,000 miles a year and I pay that £300 a month, and over 3 years, that's going to give me 30,000 miles over the agreement. Now, at the end of the agreement, if I've done more than 30,000 miles, I'm going to get what's called an excess mileage charge. On average, it can be from 3 to 11 pence. It can be more for other cars, even less. Really depends on the car. What else do you need to know about a lease? Well, you get an option up front to select an initial rental. What's an initial rental? Well, I can select 1 payment up front, 3 payment up front, 6 payment up front, 9 payment up front, or a 12 payment up front. And you think, well, why would I just not pick the minimum up front? Well, you can do. You can pick what works for you. Whatever you pay up front and the rest of the monthly payments, whether you put 3 payments up front or 9 payments up front, is going to be exactly the same. So if I'm talking leasing terms right now, again, I want to keep this really simple. I don't want you to get confused. Profile term. We talked about term before being 2 years, 3 years, or 4 years. Then we have the initial rental, 3, 6, 9, whatever you want to put up front. We put them together and we have the profile term. So if somebody comes along and says, I want to do a 9 plus 47, what does that mean? They want to put 9 payments up front and they want to take it over 47 months. All right, effectively 4 years. Put that annual mileage on there and you've got yourself a lease product. Why would I do a 9 plus 35, which is 9 payments up front over 3 years, when I can do a 3 plus 35, which is 3 payments up 35, when both the amounts that I'm paying over the 3-year term are exactly the same? Well, then it comes down to budgeted monthly payment. How much money do you want going out your bank account every month? So you can put a minimal up front and have a larger payment going out every month, or you can put a large amount up front and have a lower payment coming up front. Yes, the amount over 3 years is going to be the same. It's completely up to you and your circumstances. This is why I say there's no right thing that fits everybody. You got to look at your own situation. How many miles a year do you do? Do you want to put money up front? How long do you want the car for? This is then going to bring you to the correct product that works for you. And that's how we get a lease. So what are the benefits of a lease? Why would you do it? Well, there's no depreciation. You don't need to worry about depreciation. Right now, as I'm filming this video, electric cars are extremely popular right now. Unbelievably, our rates of people leasing electric cars are through the roof. But buying electric cars is scary. Why? Because they have such a heavy depreciation. It's better to lease the car so you don't have to worry about the depreciation. Let us worry about the depreciation. And then we think, well, what happens at the end of the agreement? Where do I go with it? Well, the car goes straight back to the lease company and you start again. A car every 2 to 3 years. Do you own the car? No, you don't own the car. Do you want to own the car? Or if you want to own the car, you should buy it. Do a little experiment and do the maths on leasing that car over 3 years, buying that car over 3 years, and you'll be surprised. Believe me, I've done it on many cars. And leasing sits at the front because it's so beneficial. A lot of people think because they've leased the car that they're going to get a really heavy damage bill. Look, guys, if the door's hanging off the car, you're going to get a heavy damage bill. But there's such a thing called a fair wear and tear guide, which is going to tell you all about that. The other thing with leasing is that in most cases, we're able to get a much better car for our budgeted monthly payment than normal. I can literally go online, make an inquiry, and the car's delivered to my door in 2 to 4 weeks. It's a crazy system how it works, but it's fantastic and so beneficial. Make an informed decision on what product works for you. If you believe financing, based on what I've told you, is best for you, you should finance a car. If you believe leasing is the best option for you, you should lease the car. So I really hope this video's helped you understand what might work more for you.
Hey guys, look, if this video brought you information, it brought you value, if it is generally just a great watch, I really appreciate if you could hit that subscribe button. What we want to do is bring you more information, more value, so we can grow together. Hit the subscribe button and let's grow.